All for joining us today. As students go back to school this month, we are here today to urge Governor Kasich and lawmakers to get back to Columbus and to address Ohio's nationally ridiculed charter school laws. There is an urgent need to not only pass meaningful charter reform, but also to address how charter schools are costing local taxpayers. And we'll discuss a little bit more about that today. Yesterday we received another unfortunate reminder of why we need the legislature to take action on charter reform. Without warning, a local charter school here in Columbus, FCI Academy, closed its doors and left 300 students and parents on the north side of town scrambling to figure out what to do next. FCI Academy had a failing performance record. According to the Department of Education, it scored a D on performance grade and an F on testing standards. Yet, it continued to receive millions in state aid. Behind me on the screen is FCI Academy's performance data on knowyourcharter.com, just to give you a sense for what their performance was and what they've received in state funding over the last several years. I know you can't see it very well behind me, but hopefully you'll be able to access that information when you get back to your computers. In this case, it's good that the sponsor decided to suspend FCI Academy for its poor performance. However, the timing of this decision could not be worse for parents, teachers, and administrators involved in that school. We are glad and we encourage sponsor closure, but again, this is just another unfortunate example of why Ohio needs to create a system of better accountability and transparency to ensure that closures like this don't happen at the worst possible time. This, combined with the ongoing scandal at the Ohio Department of Education, are prime examples of why we need real reform and real accountability amongst Ohio's charter schools, and we need it right now. With me today, I'm pleased to have Superintendent Walter Davis of the Woodridge School District in Summit County. He is going to be talking about the local perspective on these state issues that we've talked so much about over the last year. Joining him, we have Deanna Levanger. She is the Woodridge Treasurer. We also have Woodridge School Board member Jeff McHugh, who's here. Also joining me is Innovation Ohio's Education Policy Fellow Stephen Dyer. He's going to talk a little bit more about that local funding issue we discussed. And then finally we have OEA's, the Ohio Education Association's Vice President Scott DeMauro. With that, I will turn it over to Superintendent Davis, and at the end, obviously, we'll take any questions that you have. So thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming. At their August 11th Board of Education meeting, the Woodridge Local School District Board of Education unanimously passed a resolution calling on the Ohio General Assembly to change state law to ensure greater accountability and transparency for Ohio's charter schools. The resolution is available, and I'll have copies here if you'd like one after the meeting today. For us in Woodridge, we receive $680 roughly per student in state funding. However, when students leave our school district, to go to a charter school, they take an average of $6,853 with them. In essence, what that means is, for every child that leaves our school district to go to a charter school in the state of Ohio, there are 10 resident Woodridge students who receive no state funding. This is egregious, it is unfair, and we call on the General Assembly to enact reforms that will level the playing field and make charter schools as accountable as we are and have been to the taxpayers of our school district. So we're working hard in our school district to provide a high-quality education for our students, to maximize educational options and opportunities for them. And our school board is finding it hard to do that on such meager state funding dollars. So we're thrilled to be here today and join in the efforts of these organizations to call on our General Assembly to make public education in Ohio fair for all.
I'm Steve Dyer, the Education Policy Fellow. In case you don't know me, I think I know everybody here. Yes, Superintendent Davis really touched on a key important issue. House Bill 2, which is currently sitting in the House, could have been enacted at the end of the session, but wasn't. Passed unanimously out of the Senate, which is a big deal. Is a good first step. However, it does not touch on the issue that Superintendent Davis was talking about. For every child that leaves Woodridge, 10 children in Woodridge don't get state funding. That's a real problem. That doesn't mean that we should get rid of charter schools. It means that the way we fund them is problematic, and especially problematic for school districts that don't receive much state aid, such as Woodridge. Again, when the charter school program was started about 16 years ago, it was envisioned as a way to improve particularly urban education. Woodridge is not an urban district. It is a very small district in fairly rural Summit County. I believe you have some of the national park in your district, so the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. And so I think that the original vision for charter schools in Ohio was not to take state funding away from 10 kids in Woodridge so it can go to a charter school that is not performing as well as Woodridge. And unfortunately, that's what's happening too frequently. I provided a spreadsheet for you that shows you how every district is impacted by the way we fund charters. It is straight off of the state funding report, essentially saying, here's how much state funding school districts receive before the charter deduction, here's how much they get after the charter deduction, and here's how much they have to make up locally to make up that difference. And again, it's too infrequently we have discussed what impact charter school funding has had on kids who aren't in charter schools. And we need to address this problem. I'm encouraged by some signs in the legislature that they're willing to talk about this at least. And there's some folks in the quality-focused charter community who are interested in addressing this funding scheme as well. So I think there's some hope here. So anyway, I'll cut my comments short there and move on to the next. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Scott Moore. I'm Vice President of the Ohio Education Association. On behalf of OEA President Becky Higgins, I would like to underscore what my colleagues from Woodridge and Innovation Ohio have said. We need our legislators to move quickly to pass charter reform legislation and take a serious look at the way Ohio penalizes students in our local school districts and the way it funds charters. As a high school social studies teacher, and like my 122,000 fellow members from across the state, I'm deeply committed to the success of every student. That's why it's disappointing that we begin a new school year without necessary action having been taken to pass House Bill 2. Legislation that would help ensure all of Ohio's students are attending schools, including charters that are being held to high standards of transparency and accountability. After months of hearings in both houses of the General Assembly, a unanimous vote in the Senate, and a clear majority of House members prepared to approve the Senate-passed bill on a bipartisan basis, it's a shame that leadership failed to bring the bill to the floor for a final vote back in June. We're troubled that the opportunity was lost to start a new school year with an improved system of charter school accountability, and we hope that members of the House will act swiftly to pass the Senate-passed bill and resist pressure from some who profit from the current system to water down that legislation. Given the scandal around the Ohio Department of Education's failure to enact charter sponsor ratings in a clean and lawful way, the urgency for action is greater than ever. As has been said, while passage of House Bill 2 is an essential first step, our elected leaders also need to take a close look at how charter schools are funded and stop penalizing local school districts by taking locally generated dollars away from students who choose to remain in the traditional public school. Just this week, the Board of Education of my home district of Worthington passed a resolution calling on the legislature to alter the state funding formula that deducts dollars from public schools for students in a particular district who choose to attend charters. It should be no surprise why local board members, parents, and taxpayers there are angry about the current system. According to District Treasurer Jeff McEwen, Worthington's state aid amounts to $1,974 per student. But when a student who happens to live in the district attends a charter school like ECOT, the state deducts over $6,000 from its funding to the district. That means that for every one student from the district who attends a charter school, funding is lost for 2 more students who are attending the local public school. I'm sure the voters who approved the last levy that district passed would be outraged to know their money is leaving the community in that way. Fortunately, as has been said, there are legislators from both parties in both chambers who have indicated an interest in working on this problem. We know this won't be fixed overnight, but the longer Ohio waits to correct both the accountability of the charter system and the equity in the way it's funded, the longer the students of Ohio and the taxpayers of our local communities will continue to pay the price. At this time, we'll